Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr. H's Hot Pot. You join me today in sunny Orlando in Florida in the United States of America, where currently myself, Mrs. H and little Toby James are on holiday or vacation, as they say in this neck of the woods. We've been here for about 7 days already, so slowly I'm starting to go pink, as you can see. Now, apologies to anybody out there who enjoy the daily vlogs, or vlogs as Mr. H likes to call them, but I'm not doing those this year simply because little Toby James has got to the stage now where he's like a little Duracell battery. He just keeps going and going. He's up at a sparrow's fart and he goes park bashing and then he crashes last thing at night. So I've just not got the time to do any vlogs. However, we have got away from Walt Disney property today. We've got an old jalopy which we've hired, and we're going to go around and just do a few things off property for a couple of days before we return it. Now, I'm currently in a supermarket car park. So what's so special about this? Well, it's got a very special little curio. Now, I'm currently in the Publix car park, which is just off Walt Disney property, and this is a little bit of a curio in itself. You can just see the supermarket there, because we don't have Publix in the UK, and you may not have heard of them. You've probably heard of Walmart because they once owned Asda. I don't think they own Asda anymore. And you may have heard of Target, but Publix is an also-ran to us Brits. But what's curious about this particular supermarket car park is it has something that I have never seen back in the UK, and that is a small cemetery attached to it, right in the car park, or the parking lot as they say over here in America. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to carefully make my way over to it now, because the last thing I want to do is get flattened, because everything over here is so vast. To us Brits, you feel so small. And all this area that I'm currently in, back in 2018 it was just swampland, and this little cemetery was hidden in that swampland. Now, I've been trying to document this every time I've come over here. Probably wasn't a good thing when it was all swampland with alligators and things like that. Me being the idiot abroad, I didn't want to come in here. And last year it was so damn hot. Those of you who watched my daily vlogs will remember I was sweating cobs, but today it's a little bit cooler and it's still toasty, but it's just right for getting out and doing a video. And this little cemetery is just to my left here. Just slowly turn the camera and you'll be able to see it there. That obelisk, that marks the cemetery. Now, this whole area, before Walt Disney arrived in the 60s and started building his empire, it was known as Vineland. Today it's known as Lake Buena Vista. The Disney Corporation started referring to it as that, and as they hold a lot of power, people followed suit. But this little cemetery remains. Vineland Cemetery it's called. Anyway, we'll whip the camera around and we'll take a look at it now. And here it is, Hot Potters. This is Vineland Cemetery, and as you can see, it's right in the middle of this shopping mall area, which, as I say, in 2018 was all swampland. And it's mad to think that there was absolutely nothing here just a short time ago. There's the Publix supermarket that this little cemetery is attached to. And what makes this one special is these two graves that are in here are Civil War veterans. And there's a bit of a rumour goes round that they were Confederate soldiers, but they wasn't. There was actually Union soldiers. Now, they didn't die during the Civil War. They was entitled, after they passed, to a military burial, and that's why they've got military-esque type of headstones. I'll just make my way through here so we can get a closer look at them. Probably not a good thing. I'll get my feet bit to death in this scrub land. And there you can see the units that it was attached to. W. Ludwig over there, corporal, and is that something Foster, and I think he was Massachusetts Cavalry, and then there's the obelisk. Now there is a video online. If I get a chance, depending when I edit this video up, I'll put a link in and you'll be able to see this area just as scrubland. And some people may think that this is a little bit disrespectful, this being here, but when all this was scrubland, I'll just make my way back to that gate. When all this was scrubland, there was people actually coming in here and desecrating these graves, which is terrible anyway. If you're going to go into a cemetery and do damage, you're lower than a rattlesnake's belly, regardless of if it's a military cemetery or just civilians. You just don't go around doing them sort of things. There's some things in life you don't do, and vandalising a cemetery is one of them. And people probably didn't know that these graves was here. There was more graves here at one time. I think there was about 4 in this area, but the relatives of the people who were buried here, they had the remains removed. Whether or not they knew that all this was going to spring up and they didn't want their descendants or whatever being here, or whether they was just paid enough money to have them removed, who knows. But apparently the story goes that the fella that owned all of this land around here, a fella by the name of Scott Henderson, I believe, he sold all that you can see around, but he wouldn't sell this little patch. And it was put in as part of the deal that when Publix built the supermarket, that they would maintain this. And that's why it's still here today. And it's probably a good thing, really, when you come to think about it, because more people probably come and visit it than when it was just hidden amongst swampland. Yeah, 2 graves here. And there's probably more under the car park. It would have been a bigger cemetery, this, I should imagine, back when this was actually Vineland and there was a bit of a town here. But could you imagine this in Tesco's or Morrison's back home? Just wouldn't happen, would it? And I've no doubt that had these 2 graves been civilian, then they would have been moved. I'm sure that pressure would have been put on them, but I don't know. Over here in America, they think a lot differently than we do back in the UK. Back in the UK, they would have been removed, probably put in a mass grave unless you was willing to pay to have them reburied, and that would be it. It'd be tarmacked over. But that's the UK. Yeah, a little curiosity here. And it's amazing. I would like to go in and take a closer look at those headstones, but I don't think you're actually allowed in there. I don't know if we can open this. Yeah, you can. Now that's as close as I'm going to go. I don't want to be disrespectful. Well, that's amazing. It blows my mind that this graveyard is just here. So close to this hustling, bustling area. Mrs H and little Toby James have disappeared into the Publix. The last year we came here, the supermarket trolleys was set up like a car and Toby loved it. Anyway, I'm going to whip the camera around and I'll wrap this one up, I think. So folks, there you go. What do you think of that? Could you imagine a little cemetery in your local Tesco's or Morrison's? It just wouldn't happen, would it, back in the UK? But that'll just about do it for today. I'm going to end this video here simply because it's getting rather toasty. But before I do go, I want to show you something. It doesn't get much more American than what I'm about to show you. But yeah, little cemetery here in a supermarket car park. I just can't get my head around that one, I'll be honest with you, hot potters. Now what I'm going to do, I have got another little curio that I would like to take a look at, and my good friend Mike, if you're watching this, you will really be interested in this one. Hopefully I'm going to be able to get this video uploaded before I head back to the UK. But if I don't, once I arrive back in the UK, I'll edit it then. As I say, it's getting very, very difficult to keep up with little Toby James. He's sort of way up there, energy levels, and I'm starting to drop. I just don't know where he gets his energy from. I really don't. But there you go. He's thoroughly enjoying this holiday, and like I say, I'm finding it difficult to keep up with him. Now, here we go. Here's the little curiosity that doesn't get much more American than what I'm about to show you. Let's just make my way through here. Been hoping to see one of these because, as I say, it doesn't get much more American than this. But right, there we go. Look at that. An American style fire hydrant. It doesn't get much more American than that, does it? Sort of reminds me of watching Sesame Street back in the day. Anyway, enough. I'm going to leave it here. As I say, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll join me on the next one. Until then, it is bye-bye for now.